Don't play Barbarian in Season 9 until you see this. Most players think they're pushing Pit the right way, but without this build, you're leaving power and efficiency on the table. Today, I'm breaking down the Mighty Throw Barbarian Pit Push build, the strongest option this season and honestly, one of the most promising builds heading into Season 10 as well. Let's get straight into it. Build Overview. This build is all about bursting bosses and shredding high pit tiers. The core combo revolves around Mighty Throw into Hammer of the Ancients, executed so fast that enemies literally disappear before your hammer even lands. The playstyle is simple in theory, but it demands precision. Hit your buffs, set up your fury, and then unleash devastating one-shots on elites and bosses. What makes this build special? It doesn't just rely on raw damage. It uses cooldown management, fury stacking, and weapon synergy to scale insanely high into pit push content. Gear and aspects. Gear is the heart of this build. If you don't have the right uniques and aspects, the rotation simply won't hit as hard as it needs to. Let's go piece by piece. Helm, Harlequin Crest. What really matters here is cooldown reduction. You want cooldown GA and ideally 3 masterworks into CDR. Why? Because with Aspect of Delayed Extinction, every second of cooldown you stack actually translates into more damage. That's the secret synergy most players overlook. Chest, Shroud of False Death. This chest is mandatory. All stats is the priority here, boosting every aspect of your Barbarian, and the passive +1 to all passives directly amplifies your damage scaling. Survivability plus damage boost in one slot. Gloves, Bane of Ajaden. These gloves aren't just good, they're mandatory. The plus ranks to Mighty Throw is the single most important affix here, and you want it as close to max as possible. Every extra rank drastically boosts the skill's scaling. On top of that, the unique passive detonates pulses every 12 seconds as fire damage, dealing massive burst. If your roll is low, your entire damage ceiling takes a big hit. Prioritize these above almost everything else in your setup. Pants, T-Bolt's Will. These pants are insanely strong for pit pushing. First, the raw stats, all stats, max life, max resource are already top tier. But the real value is the unique passive, dealing extra multiplicative damage while unstoppable, and even for 5 seconds after. On top of that, every time you go unstoppable, you instantly gain 50 fury. That synergy is huge for this build, since it guarantees smoother rotations and keeps your burst windows fully charged. A max or near max roll here can literally make or break your push consistency. Boots. Legendary boots with Mighty Throw temper. Boots aren't just mobility here, the key temper is Mighty Throw size. The higher this temper, the stronger and smoother your gameplay feels. It literally changes the way the skill hits. It's night and day. Weapons, core of the build. Weapons deserve their own spotlight because they define how this build works. Here's how you should set it up. Bludgeoning. Two-handed mace. This is your main nuke weapon. Every core skill, like Hammer of the Ancients, is fueled through this mace for maximum overpower synergy. Dual-wield weapons. One-handed maces. These are used for skill slotting synergy. Both need the right aspects and rolls to empower your secondary scaling. Slashing weapon. Two-handed sword. This is required for utility, but every other weapon slot must be a mace. That's how you fully benefit from passives and multipliers. Across all weapons, your priority affixes are always Strength, Maximum Life, Overpower Damage. If you're not rolling these in order, you're leaving huge amounts of damage behind. Amulet. The amulet from your setup is crucial because it synergizes both damage scaling and survivability. Prioritize affixes like Strength, Brute Force, and Heavy-Handed. But instead of Heavy-Handed, you can also use Slaying Strike or Pit Fighter. As for temper, Mighty Throw Pulse Size and Weapon Master cooldown reduction are the best options. Rings. Ring of Red Furor is non-negotiable. It guarantees massive burst windows after generating fury. The second slot is a legendary ring, rolled with the conceited aspect. Important note, always aim for high rolls on the unique passive. A weak roll here massively lowers your ceiling. Skill tree and passives. Now let's break down the skills. The tree itself looks simple, but it's tuned to make this build click. Core skills. Wrath of the Berserker, Ultimate. We don't use Call of the Ancients here. Berserker is better for burst windows and mobility. Earth Stomp, Arrow Core CC, and Setup Tool. War Cry, Big Damage Amplifier. Rallying Cry, Fury Gen and Sustain. Mighty Throw, the skill that sets up the combo. Hammer of the Ancients, the finisher. Paragon Boards and Glyphs. Paragon defines how high this build can push. Let's walk through it. Boards you need are Blood Rage, Fury Management, and Sustain. Decimator, multiplying your overpower synergy. Weapons Master boosts every single weapon type you're slotting. Bonebreaker adds insane tankiness and synergizes with mace damage. Glyphs to run. Glyphs are your hidden multipliers. Without the right ones, the board feels dead. Might boosts survivability while feeding into damage. Challenger, perfect for pit pushing as enemies always outlevel you. Dominate pairs with overpower scaling, turning crits into nukes. Crusher, specifically for mace damage scaling. Weapon Master, mandatory though you can flex into martial for speed farming. Each glyph placement needs to match the board's legendary nodes, or you'll miss the multiplier windows. Rotation and playstyle. This build lives and dies by its rotation. If you miss the order, you lose your entire burst. Here's the exact flow. Wrath of the Berserker, always first. This sets your burst window. Earth Stomp, apply CC and set up overpower potential. Warcry, damage buff. Rallying Cry, fury boost and sustain. Mighty Throw must be used instantly before Ho TAs. Hammer of the Ancients, aka Ho TA, fire this off immediately before Mighty Throw even lands. This is the one shot. I'm going to tell you a secret about a stat that very few people know about. You need 65 plus attack speed when combined with an attack speed elixir. That's the threshold where this rotation feels buttery smooth. Minimum 200 fury is required to fully empower your Ho TAs. Anything less and you'll notice your damage dropping. Tips and tricks. Here's where most players fall behind. Hidden optimizations. Cooldown fishing. Always check your CDR rolls. More CDR means shorter rotations and more delayed extinction uptime equals more damage. Weapon synergy. Don't forget, every slot except slashing should be a mace. Forgetting this breaks the build. Potion management. Always pop an attack speed elixir before serious pit pushes. That extra few percent literally makes or breaks boss windows. Extras. Let's dive deeper into why this build actually works at the highest levels. At its core, Barbarian is often thought of as a brute force class. Swing big weapons, stack strength, and hope your crits carry you. But in pit push content, that mindset falls short. Monsters scale way beyond basic damage thresholds, which means if your multipliers and synergies aren't aligned, your numbers flatline. That's why Mighty Throw into Ho TA is so important. It's not just flashy, it's mathematically the most efficient way to convert fury into massive burst. Every part of this build is tuned to solve the three biggest problems Barb faces in late game content: survivability versus burst windows. Barb can survive or it can nuke, but doing both together is rare. By stacking CDR and using Shroud of False Death, you create survivability layers while amplifying your offensive passives. This lets you stand in place for a second longer, just enough to line up a perfect overpower Ho TA. Fury generation versus Fury dump. The build balances Rallying Cry plus Ring of Red Furor for generation, then converts that fury into guaranteed nukes. A lot of Barb builds waste fury in small chunks. This one stockpiles it and spends it in single devastating bursts. Weapon synergy. Barb isn't just about raw DPS rolls, it's about matching the right weapon types with the right passives. Double maces empower wallop and overpower scaling, while the slashing slot is reserved purely for utility. Every weapon here is intentional, not filler. Another hidden advantage of this build is tempo. Pit pushes aren't just about one-shotting bosses, they're about keeping pace with the dungeon timer. With 65 plus attack speed with Elixir and optimized CDR, your rotation becomes smooth enough to clear elite packs on the way without falling behind. This is what separates top barbarians from average ones. Not just killing bosses, but staying efficient from start to finish. And yes, the learning curve is real. The rotation feels clunky until your attack speed hits the right threshold and your fury pool is maxed. But once it clicks, you'll feel that switch where suddenly every boss drops before you even see their full animation. It's addictive, and it's why so many high-tier Barb players are pivoting to Mighty Throw this season. Strengths and weaknesses. Strengths. This build has the ability to literally one-shot pit bosses when executed correctly. Scaling into pit 90 plus is not just possible, it's consistent. The gameplay loop is satisfying. Every rotation feels like a mini nuke. Weaknesses? Rotation dependent. If you miss your combo, your DPS falls off hard. Gear heavy. You need near-perfect affix rolls, unique passives close to max, and strong temper/masterwork setup. Definitely not a casual build, it requires precision and commitment. So there it is, the Mighty Throw Barbarian Pit Push build. If you follow this setup, you'll not only dominate Season 9, but you'll also be ahead of the curve for Season 10, where this is expected to be one of the best Barbarian builds overall. If you want the exact Paragon board, glyph placements, and speed farm version, the full link is in the description via Mobalytics. Drop a like if this guide helped you. Let me know in the comments what part of the build you're struggling with. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the other builds and farming guides coming soon. Now get out there, stack that fury, and smash some bosses.